Mallya choosing to resign as a Rajya Sabha MP. Well, that was more or less in the offing, given that you had the ethics committee actually take that decision that they would give him about a week's time to decide. And as expected, he's gone ahead and actually stepped down as a Rajya Sabha MP. But let's also get to the other big exclusive story that we have. This is, of course, with regards to Mallya Gate as well. And in what we are picking up from sources, the ED seems to be moving very quickly and is actually going in for the kill. And on the firing line is none other than Vijay Mallya. He's in fact, we know, been sitting in London, and his company owes something like 9,000 crore rupees. And sources are now saying that the investigating agency is likely to move the court even to seek, attachment of all his assets in India. But let's take it across to Supriya. Supriya, Mallya resigning as MP from Rajya Sabha, not a surprise at all, given what we'd heard from the ethics committee just 10 days ago.
Not even 10 days ago, actually only last week, because they had given him a time of about a week and they were supposed to take a final call on the 3rd of May, which is tomorrow, and that final call was almost imminent that Vijay Mallya would be actually dropped as a Rajya Sabha member. And so he's done perhaps the more dignified thing, which is the fact that he's resigned as a Rajya Sabha member. He was a nominated member, so it is not going to have political repercussions, but it does give you the sense that Vijay Mallya is smelling the coffee. He understood he's going to lose his Rajya Sabha membership, and which is why he's done the right thing, which is he's resigned a day before the ethics committee would have taken a formal call. I mean, informally and otherwise, it was just a formality that was waiting to happen, because both Karan Singh, who was the chairman of the ethics committee, and of course Sharad Yadav, a very powerful member in there, and Sitaram Yechury, have all said that it's a formality. Mallya has been given time to explain his side of the story, that why should he not resign. He did not keep the house in the loop. He fled consciously from the country, and he did not ever reveal his financial status or the financial distress that his company was under to the House or to any panel in the House. And there was also a breach of conflicts there, because he was a member of the Consultative Committee on Civil Aviation. So those were the grounds on which the Parliament was not amused. They weren't impressed, and they were in any case going to take a final call tomorrow, that is the 3rd of May. And so I think Mallya has resigned a day before, perhaps looking at some kind of a saving grace here, but I don't think any is coming right now, Tanya.
Right. Supriya, just to keep that going, what happens next? Because, this is, of course, something that unrelentlessly is being talked about, is covered. We had him say in the FT interview in London just a couple of days ago that, I'm leading this life of exile. We've also got, of course, our colleague Utkarsh, who's also got some exclusive details. But Supriya, just to get a sense of, what happens next, because we've seen just about every agency, whether it's the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate today, sort of swinging into action, making sure that he's back here. But, Utkarsh, let's actually take it to you before we talk a little bit more about this story. What are you picking up in terms of the next move of action from the Enforcement Directorate? We know that they're now moving to attach just about everything he owns here.
Tanya, exactly as you said, everything from shareholdings to the physical assets to real estate properties and the vintage cars of Vijay Mallya is what the ED is aiming at. So what we are picking up from our sources from Enforcement Directorate is that they will be moving to the court soon. They are right now doing all the paperwork necessary to move to the court, and then they'll ask the court to attach all those properties. And the sole purpose of all of this will be to put pressure on Vijay Mallya to come and face ED for a round of questioning. Now remember that ED has already sent 3 summons. There's a non-bailable warrant against him. His passport has been revoked, and the Ministry of External Affairs has written to the UK High Commission to deport Vijay Mallya, and along with that, on the parallel, to put pressure on Vijay Mallya to really come back to India is what all this process will take place. They'll have to somehow manage to go to the court and convince court that this is the way to go. But at this point of time, what we are hearing is that everything from shares to properties, not even the vintage cars of his, are left by ED and are in the radar of ED.
Supriya, just to go back to the story that's breaking right now, the fact that he's resigned from Rajya Sabha, as you said, just a day before that deadline actually lapsed in terms of, him having to get back to the ethics committee. Just how unprecedented a move like this, what's to be said about that?
You know, a lot of parliamentarians have been saying all along, and I was in parliament almost all of this morning, and a lot of parliamentarians believe it was the most honorable thing for him to do, having faced such disgrace, having faced, having faced the possibility of being expelled from the house, which again is a very rare move. It hasn't really happened. Vijay Mallya has perhaps done the best exit route from parliament, which is to resign as a nominated member. But there is precedence of it. I'm not going to say there is no precedence. There is, I think, precedence of this. My memory doesn't help me in quoting examples, but there is precedence of this. People have resigned if issues of ethics and morals have been raised, and this was a moral exit of sort for Vijay Mallya. What does it do? It ends all his parliamentary privileges completely, so he does get no special treatment. And remember, Vijay Mallya is a man right now who's without a passport. His passport has been revoked. In that Financial Times interview, he can all but say that my passport has been revoked with such hasteness, which has taken people by surprise, and he's almost pointing fingers at the ruling establishment. But the fact is that Vijay Mallya right now is a man with no passport, and he has no choice but to return, because look at the pace at which agencies are moving. I mean, this story that Utkarsh has put forward, they're talking about his shares, his companies, property being seized. So people, agencies that are probing this entire case are moving at a very, very fast pace. But I can tell you one thing, it was heartening to see Parliament lose support so soon, and one will only hope that they lose this kind of support for one of their own. I mean, Vijay Mallya is perhaps a soft target for Parliament to lose support on, given his lifestyle, given his flamboyance, something of course that he's denied in his interviews. But this is the only exit route he had. Either he could be expelled yesterday, or tomorrow, or he could have resigned today, and I think he's chosen to do the former.
Right. How big a boost is this now going to be, Supriya, you think, for investigating agencies? We already know that they're sort of doing all they can in full throttle, but do you believe that this perhaps could come, as a sort of added advantage?
Oh, absolutely, and why not? Because look, the Parliament gave out a very strong signal to these agencies, whether it was the Supreme Court hearing this matter, whether it was the Enforcement Directorate or the SFIO or the CBI, multilateral agency probe that is happening. It was a big, big boost that came from Parliament that said we are not going to stand behind a man who's really caught the imagination of the nation for all the wrong reasons, who's almost a swindler, who's almost a willful defaulter, who's brazening it out by not paying up the bank. So that was the message the Union Parliament gave. By giving up his membership, Mallya at one level has conceded that he has no moral authority to be in Parliament today. In any case, he would have been expelled had he not given up his membership. So I think there is going to be that added boost with agencies, because he's no longer a member of Parliament. There are no special privileges that he has. It's unfortunate, though, that his second stint in the Rajya Sabha, and remember, he's been an MP for about 12 long years now, beginning 2002, had to come to an end with such a, very anonymous sort of an end. But the fact is that I think Mallya called this upon himself. If you're a member of Parliament, you perhaps do not do the things that he's done. You don't consciously flee the country. You stand here and you face the rule of law.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.